Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. It came from the workbench, Vol.57. This is episode 4. We're gonna get right into episode 4. I believe at the end of episode 3, I said we're just gonna leave it, and then the music was playing, and I sat here and I was cleaning the bench, and I looked at it and I said, we really just need to sort out electronics and the issue, the funny front end geo issue that we've got going. Change those rod ends out. It is a hacky, bodgy front end. It's a hack bodge front end. I don't believe there was ever really an intention to run. I know it comes with the mount, and we have one. Like this chassis will accept CMS, but it really wants servo and axle. So we go the way we go. And with the centered pumpkin and where it puts it, I had to cut the entirety of the bottom of the gear cover off because the drive shaft is missing the spur gear by like 5 millimeters. It is a narrow miss. It was really iterative to get the panhard replaced, and I'm not sure that's the forever one. I'm happy with the angles. We've got parallelism. I did indeed space up the servo, as I thought that I would need to do. It is almost certainly going... Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I'm a slow bleeder, so this guy will end up getting christened before we're done. I was looking at the wiring situation. I think it looks worse than it actually is. This is not the correct length screw for this. I got like an 18 on there, but I don't ultimately think that it's going to make any difference. So, I don't think it... No, it doesn't interfere with a link mount or anything. We've got a reasonable amount of axle swing on compression. See, we're kind of drooped out and we go up and then we're nice and straight. It's not huge. It's just not, we didn't manage to get it hyper optimized. I need to get a battery strap so that we can affix the battery. I know I put them in a... I was like, I know I put them somewhere. Sparts or glove. We should be good. We'll throw a voodoo in there if it looks like it's the right length. The hope is to be able to run a 2200. I will run a 2200. Should only have to take the front two out, I think. I will run a 2200 whenever possible. So I've just been, I was setting endpoints, and then I realized we're doing it again. That is just working away when documenting should be a thing. Oh, is it? We can go actually a little bit longer, but I don't know, that fits pretty good. When I was test fitting, yeah, we're getting it now. When I was test fitting, everything fits fine. The body is relatively oversized. I did also make a new tie rod. There's the old one sitting there. And you'll see that it's basically rotated out. I don't know if it's the ends. I don't know if it's the amount of engagement we have, but it would move like all the time. Even just under steering action, it would move, and it would change length. And it was just in this amount, so it should be like that. And then when it would rotate, when it would flip up and down, it would toe in, toe out, and it was really weird. I've never really seen that. And flipped to the bottom. I mean, it's still running really high because of the caster flip, but we had it up there before, and it would keep kind of half binding. Optimally, to get a perfect parallel on there, you would have to space this one out, either run a larger wider rod end, like a 7.5 or maybe an 8.3, or a spacer, but then you'd be compromising steering, because we just almost get to full lock. We can actually get a little bit more than that, but then I remember we have dig. So the dig is reasonably set up. There is an absolute knot of wires here. Oh, well, okay. Let me see if we can't just throw a zip tie or two around that. I want a ghost ride. So that is the goal. The real drawback to the 1080 G2 is all those extra wires that I don't use for anything. The reverse real car mode and the adjustable drag brake on the fly. I would rather have cruise control than adjustable drag brake. 1,000 times out of 1,000. Even like if it's something that's set up specifically to trail, I want cruise control on the fly. I've still yet to find an instance where I was like, oh man, I wish I could turn off drag brake right now. I have often said I wish I could change the velocity at which this would move without my intervention. So we got it soldered up, JST installed. We're just gonna, it doesn't matter how clean anything is, the wiring is most likely temporary. That is why, where is it? There's a bag, yeah. There's a bag here on the bench. I'm buying the zip ties 2,000 at a time now. I killed a 1,000 bag of 4-inch zip ties in less than a year. Because stuff like that, I just used 3. Will all 3 of those get cut off? Almost certainly. And we didn't catch the switch. So make it 4. Then there is always that risk where you're like, I don't know, I mean, it's not pretty, but are the wires out of the gears and whatnot? And then your brain goes, well, yeah. And then you go, well, then just leave them alone. As long as the body's not pressing on the button. I do want to mount that, and I don't want to make chassis sides or sliders of any kind. So, as long as everything clears. I realized we can get this thing out there. We can see what we've got. And undersprung in the front for sure. Rear might be okay, depending on how stuff transfers. This is every ghost ride is a fact. I didn't quite zip tie that right, did I? Every ghost ride is a fact-finding mission. Let me guess. This coil is going to be right at the base of the windshield. That kind of mushes out of the way, though. Kind of mushes out of the way. So, I didn't really have anything in the way of big problems. I got caught with, when I was cutting the gear cover, I had intended to cut this one right about at that line, pretty much like that. I ended up having to go basically straight across because with its proximity to the electronics tray, you had to disassemble the whole front end of the vehicle to get the gear cover off. And, I'm not down for that. I want things to be easily serviceable. Did I change gears? No, I added a pinion. 1456, which is 4-to-1. That might be geared a little high. I might be dropping to, say, a 12. I have 12s, perhaps, potentially even an 11. Because, as mentioned, if you will recall back, think back, use your mental Wayback Machine, to when I mentioned that these are SSD Diamond Pros, but they are indeed Element. So they have the Element outs. Element gives us no mechanism for overdrive, underdrive because it's in the Stealth X. So, is it possible to install overdrive, underdrive in this vehicle? Yes. I have somewhere in one of these bins are the backs, the SSD backs. When you buy the element housings, they cost more. They cost quite a bit more than buying the regular housings, which are about $50 for the pair, and the element housings are about $80 for the pair. There's loose wire everywhere over here, and I'm going to get one of those stuck like under a fingernail or something. I can all but sense it. You get the two backs, and one of the backs for the elements specifically are brass. So you get these brass center pinion outputs, which gives a nice little bit of weight. But if you go to the plastic ones, they also sell brass ones in the high pinion. If you go to the other ones, welcome back everybody, you can just run AR-44 gears with all of the element bits out on the outside. That is how little Yella here is set up. Yella is on all element bits except he's got the changed backs so that he can run underdrive, overdrive, because he is really close to this configuration with Diamond Pros and a dig box, and he's great. I don't think his tire situation is exactly what I want his tire situation to be. See, we didn't quite get an engagement. Now, it could be that we have pressure on the underneaths. Yeah, because when you're setting up dig, you want it to be where when you're in here, right? So this is four-wheel drive. You want it locked, but you don't want this you want it locked into four-wheel drive, but you don't want this linkage to be rigid to where you can't move it. And the same goes for when you go into dig. You want to be able to move that. If you go to move that and it's rock solid, that means that at both ends, the servo is under load. No servo likes that, and the little micros particularly dislike it. I am at the very least curious as to what our curb weight is. What is our wet weight? Now this won't have any, we'll have no idea what the balance is. And plus or minus a couple of grams. I just realized right now the rear body posts don't have screws in them to hold them at the correct height. 6 pounds dead, which is honestly heavier than I thought, sort of. When you go to brushed, you're just putting on weight. 27.25. It was almost 27.27. 6 pounds though, I will say, don't stick in my flesh. 6 pounds though, kind of right in the sweet spot. In my estimation, that 5.5 to 6.5, you can get away with a lot. It's not nearly as picky about what insert you select. You have a lot of tuning options, and all other factors being equal, a lot of tires prefer more PSI, more ground pressure, more force across the tire than they do less. Tires start to get pretty picky when it starts to get really light on the tire. I think these are right about where they need to be. Let us see. Now we'll just do it the correct way. I was gonna say we'll do it the quickest and easiest way, but the correct way will be to remove that spacer, because I of course put the mounts directly behind that, and we'll grab 2 pins. Go with that one, because the body would be down and sitting on the tires within moments. 1 in, 2 in. So the front is not crushing down as far as I thought it would with the battery, with the 2200 in place. And never forget, if if you're running a 2200 and you're really weenieing about the weight, going to even a 1500 is it's gonna drop. The weight drops pretty linear to the capacity. So if there was a mythological 1100 pack out there, it would weigh about half of what the 2200 weighs. But as I said, if I can fit a 2200, I'm going to run a 2200. There's one right over here. I mean, there's a 3S 650 and there's a 3S 450. Now, obviously, 3 of these is what? 1950? Roughly the same size as that. It's the watt hours. It's the energy density, right? Voltage times amps is watt hours, and you're just going to get significantly more runtime out of a 2200 than you will out of 3 650s or 2 1100s or 4 550s. You're going to get more out of a single. Now that rear, okay, we can just blam, and it is slam wagon central. I don't think the front fender wells, you see it just eject. Well, you didn't. It will just eject the body. It just pops it right up off the body mounts. So those pirate ship noises are going to be pronounced. We are going to run it as it is. That's what we're going to do. As we have curiosities. I think it's going to be up a rate in the front, and based on the angle of that rear shock and how easy and effortless it is to collapse that rear right into the tire, I think it might be 2 rates up in the rear. It sits with a real stink bug, and then it just sets right down. I want it to set like that. See that amount of wheel arch gap? That's about where I want it to sit. This thing is super slammed. We are past level on the links. We want to be about there. We want to be at about 45 millimeters below the skid, which is not bad for a straight axle on a Class 1. We might actually, I mean, it depends. This is what we all find out in this. Are we going to want to up the rates, or we can stand the rear shock up 1 hole, maybe 2 holes, raise the effective rate. The front, we don't really have a lot of choices. So we're going to have to go up in rate in that. But we have no idea. The chat picked the parts. We threw it together. And I have no idea how it's going to work. It's probably geared too high. Even on a 20-turn 5 slot, it is geared too high. Because a 35-turn would be a little bit more suited to something with portals on it. So we're probably going to end up going as small as we can go on the pinion, an 11 or a 10. When you've got 32 pitch gears, and we're looking at 4-to-1 right now, 1456. If we got on to a 10 instead of 4-to-1, that's 5.6 to 1. Let's see. That is probably, now that I'm saying it, 4 times 3.75. Oh, right, internal ratio. Times 2.6. That's 39 to 1. I would prefer to be in the high 40s, low 50s. So 5.6 times 2.6 times 3.75. It would be 55 to 1. So by dropping from a 14 to a 10, and I have plenty of 10s, we would take the gear ratio from 39 to 1 to 55 to 1. So this is probably going to be a little snapple-dapple. What we might do, we're not going to might. We're gonna. We're going to take it out and we're going to do half a ghost ride. We're going to come back. We're We're going to make some little minor spring and gearing adjustments as I see necessary, and then we're going to do it again. Notes from the drive, as we reach the course at 68, 20, 75, not near, like minimal. When you corner under power, you get a little bit of from the rear tire on the inside rear. Gets a little just over to the sander, spindle that up a little bit. I expected, like, at full lock here, let's try a dig. At full lock, I expected much more. Look how wide this boy is. This is a wide boy. Looks like an old American car. We got that. Got a little bobble to it, unsurprisingly. I think we might have a loose hollow ball or two, like one that doesn't quite suit the rod end to which it has been matched. I remember now, megalithics. Clear that belly over, a little dig turn. I thought the rockers were going to be way, way down too low on the sides. Look at that rear tire just tucked up in there. Also, I neglected to set cruise, but that is easy to remedy. It takes me about 30 seconds to set up a cruise. Let's see, did I do it right? I did. Okay. Yeah, I think we're geared a little, yeah. We're geared a little higher than I would like. Yeah, that's at 10%. Yeah. Walking pace on cruise, I want to be 60 to 70% throttle, and this has got the ability to get a little more zesty than that. Got a little impingement there, front fender right at the back, right? Pop. Like it needs to be sanded out by like a 1/16 of an inch. Clears on one side, doesn't quite clear on the other. In the rear, just a smidge. I thought there was going to be a lot more body adjustment. Now we've got the rear just power squats when under throttle, just rests the body right down on top of the tire. Now we've got a 0.8 pound spring back there, probably at near enough as to be a 45-degree angle, which is going to reduce that rate by like 50%. So a 1.2 is probably where we want to be, and then we can adjust further by the shock hole. I think the 0.8 is going to be too soft. And it's Megs, man. It's Megs. I'm so glad this thing saw a little involvement there. It is insane how low that body sits and how little it interferes. That's all skid coming across the top, right there. All skid. I have to learn. Class 1 is driven in any lift. Hey, our front end is not bad. Popping and pinging is absolutely minimum. This is well above my expectation. Like, I thought we were in for something adjacent to a catastrophe. Megs on stock foams. Get right through there. And if I can teach myself the lines to keep the belly out, any additional amount of kick on that skid at the height we're sitting now would be catastrophic. We would just be fish hooking the earth with it. So we got lucky. I would like to see right about where the front fender gap is sitting. I want the rear fender gap to sit right about there at static. So we will address that. But man, $14. Oh, let me, we need to, yeah, see, that dig did not engage. All right. Back to our endpoints. On the bench and on the rocks, are two very different things. And when setting up a dig servo, it is often like on the RC4, it sets in percentages. So I had it set at 18%, moved it to 20. In the front, I had it set at 70, moved it to 75. So we moved it about 5%. And more often than not, that is the difference. There's that thing augered in. Forward drive feels real good. Trying a little dig pop. Okay, see, we're not re-engaging out of there. It goes. No, we're still not in dig. Couple more percent. There we go. It is a thing that will take some not insignificant amount of time. Every once in a rare while, it happens where you just hit it. You put that servo on. This is why this, ladies and gentlemen, is why digs that are set up from the factory with servo savers of any type don't work. Because you're basically asking that little servo to use what little mechanical advantage it has to disengage wheels that are being locked by the weight of the whole vehicle. So there could be 6 pounds of weight transferred onto that axle, and then you're saying, okay, little servo, now pull that linkage over and disengage it. And sometimes it doesn't want to. Also, 3-dog digs, you've got 120 degrees, 60 degrees between each wedge of engagement. So there's a big sloppy portion, which is why the LCXU works better. But Axial won't sell us an LCXU out on the open market, so we're Amazon dig boxing it. Let's see there. Yep. I want an absolute just lock. Now, we have not adjusted the setting on the 1080 at all. This is midline stuff. I turned down reverse to 75%, but I haven't adjusted drag brake force or rate, and I would like not to. I would like to provide it mechanically so that the speed control doesn't have to work any harder. So I am one not for baby steps. I am one for the canyon change whenever possible. So what I would say is, provided I can find one in the top of the bin quickly, an 11-tooth pinion, sand out front and rear fenders, including the front edge of the front fender and the rear edge. Basically arch them a little more because we're steering, so it's moving through a thing. And and the springs. So we're going to go to maybe 1.2 all the way around, which would be great because Chavtechs come with 1.2s. Now, we're using no slot spring cups, so we have to disconnect the bottom of the shock. We have to unthread the rod end. We have to change the spring. So it's a process. Hopefully the pinion swap will be easily facilitated. I am almost taken aback by how close it is for just absolutely raw. This is one of the ghostiest ghost rides we've done where, we took parts, we threw them all at the wall and went to see what would stick. Again, megalithics are a little bit of I hate to say the phrase, but they're a little bit of a cheat code. If we had put any proper scale class 1 tire on here, I think it would have done a little less great. Like even with a tusk, a megalithic, and I've got a set of tusks, so maybe we'll tinker with that in the future. But let us take it back inside and do the things that we mentioned, and then see how we feel about it. I do love how ridiculously low it sits. Look how low he is. He's so low. But functionally, we need to be just that. So we're going up half a rate, basically. In my, this is how I keep it clear in my mind. Wait, come back here. This is how I keep it clear in my mind. A
0.8 pound is our starting rate. So if we were to go up a full rate, we would be in that, like if we went to a DriveTech medium, that would be like around a 1.5, 1.6 pound spring, because we can't find springs out in the open market that tend to just fall on full, even increments. So we're going to go a half a rate from 0.8 to 1.2. We're going to go 50% of higher in rate. So there is no, like, full rate, half rate are all situationally specific. If your rig starts on a spring that is 2 pounds all the way around, you got 2 pound springs, and you go down half a rate, you'll go to a 1 pound spring. And if you start on a 1 pound spring and you go up a full rate, you'll go up 1 pound. It's one of those things, it's like gear ratio. And it's what I try to keep in mind, because then I know the steps that I'm moving from. So this is half a rate up. And I think, at least those shocks are even actually past 45 degrees. It could get away with a 1.5. Maybe 1.2, 1.5. It'll come down to what we dig out of the bin, honestly.
I did the cruise test on the way back, and it's at about a brisk walk is 75. So I did indeed pick a reasonably close gear option, because I think I mentally accommodated for tiny tire. If we put a 4.65 on here, 4.75, it's gonna be way too fast. Motor's ice cold, servo's ice cold. We didn't do much. So what did we say? Okay. First things first. It's the beauty of Trials using their own little proprietary everything, is you can't mess up front and rear until if and when we go to an insert. If this thing can stay on single stage open cell foams for all of its days, I would not be upset. Let us see what we end up with. We'll grab our thing of 10 millimeter springs, 10 by 40 by 1.2s, and they're orange. That's fun. I think 1.2s. Do I have any drab mediums? I think I do. Do I have any 10 by 40s by 1.2 that are black? No. I got 2.0s. I've got 10 by 30 by 1.2. 10 by 30 by 2. I think that rear shock's going to need a 1.5. It just, which I would basically classify as a full rate, because that angle, I haven't put an angleometer on it, but it looks quite angled. I'm rating a spring back here because it's got the red band on it, but Deluxe changed their colors. So basically, here's how we go. We take the spring, we caliper it. The spring it's got a red band up there at the top. It's 40 millimeters long. We set the caliper to 15 millimeters, which will give us roughly 25 millimeters of compression. We set the scale to pounds. We make sure it's tared. We go like this. We press down. We tap it out. 1.4. And I believe Deluxe states them as 1.45. So 1.4, and then we will stand it up. We'll move it back one more hole. That will be our compromise. And we'll put the orange 1.2s in the front, and it will be an interesting jump on the orange 1.2s because, no, we're running 10 by 40s. I thought we were running 10 by 30s. So that should be absolutely fine. We grab shock pliers. I don't know how many times these have been installed to know if they're going to be tough or not. Ooh, those Traxxas 8.3s, what I call slash rod ends that have the big flare on it to keep them from pulling off. That flare, look how thin that is. It's like a razor. It goes straight for the flesh. Boop. 1.5. well, 1.4. How do we feel damping wise? Those could stand to have some more life's blood injected into them. I believe these were takeoffs from some other rig here that swapped to something else. I don't believe these are straight from Jenny's, because they had already had the caps modified to take 10mm springs. Tighten them down just to where they start to feel snug. Try to remember where you put the screwdriver, which still has the screw hanging on it. That works out for us. We'll do this. Feels better. Feels better. And then, as I mentioned, I'll bring you along. We'll ride along together as I swap these rears out. Oh, toughens you up. It builds up the toughness. Another 4.5. So to a deluxe, I think deluxe calls this a medium. And then we'll be going to half a rate above deluxe, because the front shock doesn't, like, we could move forward one more hole if we need to stiffen it up a little bit, but we're going to have to be a little more hopeful on our choosiness of the rate in the front, because we don't have as much of a range of adjustment over it. I usually run a longer screw on that, like an 18. That seemed like a 14. 6mm of embedment should be absolutely adequate, but if you can run 18mm of embedment with no negatives as well. Now, how is this going to affect articulation? It isn't. That is in one hole further back, and that is in one hole further forward, and we have, it looks to me like pretty much the exact same level of axle drop. Now we collapse all the way. Oh yeah, like, watch that come down, and then, because we're enhancing that rate, and that shock has a little bit more oil in it. That's fine-tuning stuff. We ain't worried about that right now. We're also going to see if I can get the pinion out, get the gear cover off and get the pinion out without disassembling everything in the front end. And honestly, my hopes are low. We're going to have to cut the zip ties that we zip tied in place 20 minutes ago. It's almost a guarantee. We could actually run... Did we get full collapse? We just get full collapse. That is a lot of articulation. Probably could get away. Oh, more future tuning, potentially an 85, like a 2660, but you can just go down to this hole and that'll pull that rear axle up. I haven't seen that articulation really, like, overtly reveal itself as negative yet. Oh, I just remembered. The top shock mount is, like, kind of turn it this way and you get up under with a ball end. That way to get those out. That's caster flip that brings that on. But let us see. Yeah, there's no way. Well, is there a way? Oh, there's no way. I don't like to run gear covers unless I absolutely have to. And let me at least get this gear cover pulled off so you can see why I would consider this a have to. So the spacer, don't lose the hardware. Run down right here. I think we can get in there. Yeah, can't get that one out. I don't want to have to pull the gearbox. I don't want to have to do any of that stuff. And then we get there, we can just get there. It's far less fun to get them back in. And this should just lift out, because that's all that's left of that guy. And the reason that guy is in there at all is, look now where the no, yeah, it's gear cover o'clock. We're not removing that thing. So for open ground speed, I would honestly probably stick with the 14 if we were doing anything other than strictly rock crawling. But I'm here to build a class 1 that I like, and I want to have it geared more towards, quite literally, I want to have it geared theoretically and literally towards rock crawling. That's a 10. I think an 11 is a better stop. That's a 9. That's another 10. That's another 10. All right, universe. If you're telling me to run a 10, which is, I think, a bit more of a jump, I would like an 11 or a 12. I'm requesting that of the bin. There's another 10. There's another 10. Oh my God. Why? Why? Why do you have so many 10s? There's a 9. That's something. It's going to be a 10, isn't it? It's going to be a 10. Well, it's overcorrection. And does it have a set screw in it? It does. Okay, that's how you win the fight. You grind him down by just showing him 10s. That's a brand new Traxxas 10. And we should have enough gear adjustment because I believe the 14 is right at the outside edge of fitment. Like, I don't think you can fit 1556 on there. Nor would you need to, because, well, with portals, and setting the gear mesh is much easier because I can actually reach-ish. So same operation on the front. We'll get those orangies on there. Yeah, we are all the way at full. Now we got to try to do it by feel here. Now sometimes you will bottom the gearbox, the motor out into the gearbox. I'm not seeing the motor hitting anything, but I'm also not seeing a full throw available to me. I can't move the motor over more. It looks like the smallest that will fit is an 11, and I don't see any reason why this motor won't clock more to the inside. I think we got it. There's still a lot more on the adjustment slot. I should have more space there. Let's see if how's that rock when that's tight. That mesh is a little loose. I don't know if we can even see down the barrel. That mesh is a little bit loose. I would like a little more depth. And you can see how much slot is there at the bottom, right? And then in the back, the motor is just out in the open. There's 3 millimeters between the can and look at that. Look at the gap straight through. There's room, but it ain't letting me have it. Oh, okay. I'm gonna fix those shocks, and I'm gonna get that motor moved over. And here's what I think the issue is: cans like that have the 4 holes. I think I'm in the wrong one. I'm not in the matched pair. So I'll get to that, and we'll clean this up on the spindle sander. I'm just gonna go a little wider in the front, a little deeper. I'm gonna go right to the line. We're just gonna take that little bit to the line, and we're probably gonna cut this off right at the bottom of the door. So we'll get these little notchy guys off. We'll just go straight across. There isn't even any cleanup on this body, and it still wasn't hanging as bad as I thought it would. So I'm gonna do exactly what I did back there up here. I'm gonna get that pinion mesh better. I'm gonna put it back together, and we're gonna do it again. All right, about ready to head out for Ghost Ride Part 2. Orange in the front, 1.2. Deluxe red stripe in the back, 1.45. I put about 5 drops of 300 CST into this one to slow it down a little. It's still a little quick Still a little under full. That's perfect. Little under full. Very under full. Bam, bam, bam. If it drops down that much, it is under damped. Now, they might act a little under damped because we just went up rates. But I think 300 CST will still be fine because watch it cycle. Nice. That's what I shoot for right there. Also replaced the entire front drive shaft. It was a Vanquish in the front and an Axial in the rear. Pretty good. Much better. I like to get it to where when we're at full collapse, I want full collapse. I don't want any limitation of articulation, but it doesn't look like we have that. We've got the 10 tooth in there, which I would maybe, possibly, potentially, I'm not 100% sure. I think I would want like an 11 or a 12, but I would rather gear down a little. But we might even, we'll go all the way in here. Fusion Pro, Fusion SE, Quick Run WP Crawler Brushed, and a cord. We'll throw a little program card in our pocket. If we've got to adjust drag brake, we will adjust drag brake. Oh, I can also turn up the BEC. Can I reach it? Yeah, sort of. I should probably those in my other pocket. The plug is way down in there, and I've got the ham hand equipped. We've also got a little bit of a pull to the left. We've got a slight left pull on the steering, and I'm not going to sub-trim that because we have turnbuckles. That is why we have turnbuckles. So we'll go about... Nope, I was doing it right the first time. We'll go about... Okay, we're going to make up the turn we just added. Go a little turn above that. And about one little boop. One little bit more. A little boop. There we go. And we can adjust that. Turnbuckle wrench. Just fill your pockets with tools. It beats walking back and forth 17 times to make micro adjustments. So the body has also visited our good friend the spindle sander. There is a delightful, almost decadent luxury to making perfectly round pan car style wheel wells where we just hit them on a 3-inch drum. I've lengthened them out a little bit in the back. I've gone up a hair higher. We're right to that belt line, which I wanted. Went up a little bit in the front, rounded that off, brought this back, and went one step further, grabbed one of our Mr. Penn. We go from the door panel line to right there, 30 millimeters. We go from the door panel line to right there, 30 millimeters. So, theoretically, we shouldn't be eating fender anymore. That is the battery wire. We will get that sorted a lot better. I would like to have it. This is as much a note to myself as to anyone else. I would like to have the battery in such a way that the wire from the power input to the ESC will be zip tied like back around that way, so that we don't have this crinkle pushing on the hood. I just don't want to cut those. I don't want to cut those zip ties off today. Honestly, the rear feels like it sits a little high. Fill your pockets with tools. Ghost Ride number 2. Is that the... Well, it's impossible to say. That's pretty neutral. What do our links look like? I would say level. Level in the front. We're a little past level in the rear. So we were really embracing Slam Wagon before. We're a little bit more usable now, and
Oh yeah, very nice. Very nice. Remember how far the tire was tucking up inside the body? Okay. I think it's ready for the second Ghost Ride Part 2, Ghost Ride B. I feel slightly better. I had to put on about an additional eighth of a turn or so to the drag link for the steering. It is pretty much perfectly straight. Any other notes? No body noise at all on the dry bag. Nothing is touching anything. And look at that. No belly hang. We need like a 12, a 10, or alternately, I think I might have a 52. 50, 5 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 5. No, we need a 12. We need a 12. Now it does have that low. 5.6 to 1 spurted pinion is low. Get out of the flowers. Check it. Yeah. When you go from a 4 to 1 spurted pinion to 5.6 to 1, you are introducing some sought after mechanical advantage. And does this radio have any electronic FEXP forward curve? No, it does not. It does not. Okay. We don't have any FEXP because, let me see where the tip in could be a little bit smoother. I might calibrate it again. And of course, the 1456 is going to be quieter. The closer the spurt and the pinion are in size, like the fewer teeth separating the two of them, the quieter it's going to be. So 1056 is just going to be louder and noisier than 1456, even though that pinion is brand new and the 14 was not brand new. I mean, I sometimes I think that I've set my standards are too high because this is plenty slow. Really comes on as a smooth. There's no abruptness in the middle of the trigger stroke. It stays low. Okay, get it way out on the side. I want it way out on the side. I can see the Lexan pinched. That smaller tire is forgiving in that you can get a lot rowdier. Oh, that self-right was maybe the angriest of the Lexan noises. I mean, the tailgate is relative to the height of the tire. The tailgate is very low. We're getting the belly stuck quite a lot less, but it is a side hill that will ultimately reveal to us if we've gone too far or not far enough. It really does keep that front end pressed down. There's just no, we don't have, like we went diesel. We don't have a dish. We don't have top end. Like I don't have a top band to give it that burst of speed. It spools up so slowly. We have that initial boom right there. Boom. These are those moments that remind you it's not a fusion, man. It's brushed. And once we're past that moment right there, you completely forget that it's brushed. The amount of control, everybody should try something brushed. It is very different in the power delivery. The way every part of the power band feels. Megalithics have enough torque to where it kind of overwhelms the rear. Well, that dived in real nice. Get the body through, cut back, cut over. Yes. Yes. There's a part where a pumpkin's gonna hang. We got around it. It drives as low as I would hope. That bumper, I thought the back of the body was gonna mess with departure more. Do we have enough bump? Okay, I wanna move the nose. I wanna get driver's front corner of the hood. I wanna get that over about an inch and a half. So we, just like that. Yeah, it is a dog dang 12. What did I say it came out to? 55 to 1? I want 50 to 1. And I don't have a 12 on me, but I will order one. And then this will have a 12 on it. I like the aesthetic. This is the prototype of the 3C1 Crawler Canyon Class 1. You know what's crazy? Here's the craziest part of the whole thing. We're still getting a little body roll over. Let's see what it does on the corner, on the transfer. Woo! Bloop. The rear is still a little squishy. It could be the laydown. We might end up like a 1.4 at that angle and a 1.2 up more straight. But as we get up more straight, we're gonna get more. It might just be standing it back up, but moving the lower shock mount to the link mount rather than the shock mount. Like drop it down that half an inch. Basically just to take away articulation. It will throw it to the sky. There we go, we got it to set down. I wanna say that that's not the front end. I wanna say that's the back end. We're getting excess articulation. Because I've often said, many times in fact, I'm looking for, in general, all other things being equal, I'm looking for about a tire. I want a tire's worth of compression. I think we're getting around a tire's worth of compression, but we're getting about an additional half a tire's worth of extension. And I think it's too much. I don't think we need to be reaching down that far. The turn circle is not terrible, but then we remember that we have dig. And dig is an excellent substitute for no underdrive overdrive. Optimally, we would run no underdrive overdrive, but a lot of times there's issues that geometry cannot accommodate. Yeah. Thank you. Big tailgate. Big tailgate with the save. There's that spot. We go right through. Yeah. I need 2 more teeth on that pinion. I think perhaps this motor in the 16 is probably optimal, because then I could run this 10 and it would be very happy on it. Just wanted to see, can we generate enough traction to get past the mechanical? Yes. Tailgate through. Oh yeah. Yeah, buddy. Dig it, swing it. Very good. A Class 1 tire has a built-in benefit, which is it's short. It's short and it gets you lower to the ground. Straight axles and C1s, man. You can see how close that pumpkin is to the ground. And as long as you're directing the sticky parts around what they're going to get stuck on, Diamond Pro. Diamond Pro. You can't run every axle as low as every other axle. Some axles can be set to run lower. Some axles are more optimized for other things. Portal on a Class 1, honestly, makes sense. It pulls the pumpkin higher. But it raises the CG at the same time. It's just, maybe it's not the rate in the rear. I think it's the damping. Because I can get that bed to just pop too much. The front looks great, even though the front is a little underfilled. The front has got that extra weight pushing it down. Yeah, as long as this guy doesn't mechanical, the dig is working. The dig is working pretty great. That 10 sounds horrendous. But it's not like that guy's not roaring over there. Even with that big body should be acting like more of an amp than it is. I am pretty much on board with this. We need a 12-tooth pinion for sure. I need to order sooner preferably rather than later. I need to order an array of pinions, as well as spur gears, because I need more gearing options for this guy. The body sits almost perfectly. We've got a damping issue, which needs to be addressed by basically just cleaning the shocks and topping them off, all four, all the way around. Pinion to a 12. I have no notes about the steering. This is an acceptable turn circle. This is the dig turn circle. And when we go the other way, let me reframe it. Okay, here we go. Okay, looks pretty good. We're pretty even. It might have a little more washout when turning right. But again, we can do one of these. You kind of look at the size of the circle it pulls in the center. That might be a thing where when we're looking at the bias, when we're looking at how it's putting the power to the ground, I mean, a Tusk might work better in this situation. I think overall, the Megalithic is a little bit better in general, is a little bit better of a dig tire. But this is Class 1, Canyon Class 1. And the no underdrive overdrive, it is doing truly remarkably well. And that's a big part of the reason I don't want to give up the Megs. I mean, that's pretty good. We'll do the full scaling. We'll get him painted. We'll get his little plastic trimmy bits put onto his body. The mirrors will snap off in one run, but we'll at least get that one glamour shot with the mirrors on there before they break off. I am happy with quite literally most of it. I thought this big square guy was going to get caught on everything, and it kind of doesn't. I mean, do I wish we had a little more tuck in the rear and it was only sticking out maybe 15 millimeters past the back of the tire? Sure. But I don't want to get in there and start carving things up to give myself another couple millimeters when I could just cut through the taillights and cut the bed up, cut the tailgate up so that we have a little bit better clearance. But if we can spin this around, if we can do this straight cut right up here and the rear tailgate doesn't get hung up on the rocks as we go by, it's absolutely fine. So another, at least in my estimation, successful ghost ride, a ghost ride in two parts. Brought all the tools out. That's how you know you're not going to need to use them. Because I was worried about, we had the program card in there because I was worried about the drag brake. Come on, I was worried about not having enough drag brake. I don't know if I can actually prop it up high enough. Well, that's sitting on the tailgate. That's not helping anyone. We have a real stability surplus, and I'm 100% on board for that. The power delivery feels great. We just need more RPMs. And it is much cheaper to change a pinion than it is to change a motor. Yeah, it just electronic anchors out. Get right. Yeah, right there on the point. So, this is the prototype, and it will radiate outwards. We're going to build at least another Class 1 of similar cobbly, throw it together orientation. Full body. I've got a Bronco. I've got a J-Concepts Bronco, and I've got another K10 pickup. I've got a couple that are really suited for small tire like this, and in the bags on the rack are a set of Class 1 Tusks. So we're kind of ideaing that one together. What chassis is going to go under it, I don't know. You'll see another installment or two of this one for sure. After it's painted, it will run the gauntlet, which is we'll take it through green line, back nine, and deadline, at least those three, because we want to see it. I don't know if we'll hit front nine, and we'll probably not hit the blue course, but we'll see it do some more stuff after it gets painted up. We had a couple minor self-rights. We've got some scars in the overspray. I really like the way this looks. I'm glad that I, on a whim, ordered that body, and then we cobbled all these parts together to suit it. I think it's pretty okay. Regardless of what you think, whether you think it's pretty okay or you go, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us here today for this installment of And It Came From the Workbench series. We look forward to seeing you next time, and in between now and then, please one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the canyon real soon. He just wishes he had, I and he both wish he had a 12. We hope you come back and see. We hope you come back and find out if he gets a 12.